Welcome to Law Family. This video is helpful to the law students and newly practicing young advocates only. Today, we discuss about the sections 92 of BSA Act 2023. Corresponding law section is 90 of Indian Evidence Act. Presumption as to documents 30 years old. Main principle. A has been in possession of landed property for a long time. He produces from his custody deeds relating to the land, showing his titles to it. The custody is proper. The documents coming from proper custody, and by drawing the presumption permissible under section 92 of BSA Act, corresponding law section is 90 of Evidence Act as to handwriting, execution and attestation. It would have been necessary to prove the identity of the executing property. The section itself admits a presumption of genuineness of documents purporting to be 30 years old if produced from custody, proved to have had a legitimate origin or an origin the legitimacy of which the circumstances of the case render probable, and the section read with the explanation attached thereto seems to be insist only on a satisfactory account of the origin of the custody and not on the history of its continuance. Possibly, the origin of the custody was alone regarded as mentioned because it is intelligible that ancient documents may be overlooked and left undisturbed, notwithstanding a transfer of old or creation of new interests.
Welcome. Main points. First point, court has discretion to raise or not to raise presumption but cannot be exercised arbitrarily and unreasonably. Second point, when the presumption under section 92 of BSA Act, corresponding law section is 90 of Evidence Act, has been raised by trial court and the appellate court in exercise of their discretion, and the High Court should not interfere unless it is established that the discretion has been exercised arbitrarily without due consideration of material evidence on record. Third point, how the presumption of genuineness of document purported to be 30 years old should be drawn. Age of documents, its unsuspicious character, its production from proper custody, and other circumstances are the foundation for the presumption of genuineness. Court must give opportunity to parties to prove and rebut it before passing its presumption. Fourth point, when the court does not raise the presumption of genuineness with respect to document purported to be 30 years old, the court must give an opportunity to prove a document by direct evidence. Fifth point, the presumption under Evidence Act are only the inferences which a logical and reasonable mind normally draws. whenever the law permits the raising of a presumption, the court can, by reason of Section 2L of BSA Act, corresponding law section is Section 4 of Evidence Act, raise the presumption for purpose of proof of a fact. Sixth point, where the impound document is unsigned, unaltered, and without even the name of the scribe, presumption is not available. Seventh point, presumption under this section relates to signature and handwriting and cannot be extended to correctness of contents of document. Eighth point, presumption regarding old documents is not available in respect of certified copy of document. However, if there are genuine circumstances for admission of secondary evidence under Section 58(1) of BSA Act, corresponding law section is 63(1) of Evidence Act, like the proof of loss of destruction of the original and the 30 years old copy to is produced from proper custody, then the signature authenticating the copy may be presumed.
Ninth one is purporting and proved must be read in a sequence. The section cannot be in one breath. Insist on proof of the age of the document and in another breath rest content with mere appearance. All the presumptions under this section would arise only if the document is proved to be 30 years old or if purports to be 30 years old. 10th one is, it is extremely difficult and sometimes impossible to prove handwriting, signature, and execution and attestation of an ancient document after lapse of many years. A document 30 years old or more is produced from proper custody and is on its face free from suspicion, the court may presume that it has been duly executed and attested. The presumption drawing 30 years old document based on two conditions. One is that the document must be proved to be 30 years old on the date of tendering evidence. And second one is that the document must be produced from proper custody. 12th, the will being more than 30 years old and produced from proper custody may be presumed to have been duly executed by the testator when he was in a sound and disposing state of mind. In this case, the Supreme Court has clarified that the presumption under Section 92 of BSA Act, corresponding law Section 90 of Evidence Act, does not apply to wills even it was registered. The will's genuineness must be proven through the methods prescribed by the Succession and Evidence Act, not by its age alone. 13th one is alternative for older wills. If no attesting witness can be found, the will can be proved by other evidences, such as proving the attestation of one witness is in his hand, in his handwriting, and also the signature of the testator as per section 68 of BSA Act. Corresponding section law is 69 of Evidence Act.
This video is purely theory, and the Honorable Court decides each case on merits.
Thank you.